Welcome to another conversation in People in Fundraising. This podcast features interviews with nonprofit professionals who discuss their career journeys, lessons learned, and enthusiasm for working in fundraising. And here is your host, the founder of People in Fundraising, Tim Wilson.
Hello, everyone. It is Wednesday, January 9th, 2025, and I am so delighted to welcome Sherifa Krisht to People in Fundraising. She is our very first guest from the Middle East, and I'm so excited to listen to her, have her talk about fundraising experiences in this environment. Good evening, Sherifa.
Hi, Tim. How are you?
I'm doing
Thank you for
great.
having me on your podcast. It's my pleasure.
I'm
And
so
I'm so
excited.
glad to be the first person from the Middle East on your podcast.
I'm so excited too. Thank you for making time.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Tim.
And so, Sharifa, if you can tell our audience what you do in fundraising, what your title is, and who you work with, and where first, please.
Okay. I'm going to start by introducing myself. My
Hmm.
name is Sherifa Krisht, and I'm Lebanese, Nigerian. I was born and raised in Nigeria until I left to Beirut to pursue my studies at the American University of Beirut. My journey into the fundraising profession began during my time at AUB when I was a student. I used to work as a student assistant at the university's advancement office. The office is considered the key fundraising hub in the Middle East region,
Okay.
and it exposed me to the transformative power of philanthropy.
Mm.
Initially, I supported with administrative stuff and filing and the typical student work that we used to do as students. However, being part of a large-scale operation taught me a lot and allowed me to witness the great impact such an institution reflected on its community. I used to witness students change their lives 180 degrees from being in a very harsh financial situation where they are granted a scholarship to study at this university and they change their life and their family's life. So I always used to listen and hear from fundraiser talking to donors at AUB where they used to say that when you educate a child, you're not changing the child's life by itself, but you're changing the whole family
Mm.
because you're switching the whole family into a different level. And I continued working as a student at the UB, and I still remember there was like at the main gate entrance, there was like a motto engraved at the main gate where it said like that they may have life and have it more abundantly.
Mm.
This phrase became a guiding principle for me, embodying the purpose behind every fundraising effort that I do during my career. After graduating, I continued working at the advancement office, where I started my career as a records coordinator at the university. I used to manage around 62,000 constituents on our database. Then I moved into a stewardship coordinator, and I was lucky enough to move and rotate in different departments, in different units within the department, where I used to work as with the prospect research team, with the alumni team, with the events, with fundraisers, with the stewardship team reporting on scholarships and shares. So I was lucky enough to rotate on different into the different units under the advancement office until I moved and I became a fundraiser at King's Academy in Jordan.
Awesome.
Moving to Jordan, yes, it's a Middle East country. It was something very challenging for me at the beginning. The first year was really hard for me, but I started my career as a fundraiser at King's Academy, and it was for me fascinating. I learned a lot from this experience. It was one of the best decisions that I took during my career journey. And being a fundraiser, understanding the back office of the advancement really helps a fundraiser to solicit and to secure major gifts.
Hmm.
So definitely my experience at AUB helped me a lot and supported me a lot within my career at King's Academy. And currently I'm working as a consultant for different organizations, both educational and non-educational, between Lebanon, Jordan, and Saudi Arabia. I work for a non-educational organization called Mentor Arabia in Lebanon,
Mm.
supporting them with a gala dinner that's happening next month, hopefully in Qatar,
Oh, awesome.
and working in one of the top educational institution, the Amman Baccalaureate School in Jordan currently, as
Awesome.
also as a consultant, supporting them with the development office, and working on a project in Saudi Arabia with a governmental entity. So that's in a nutshell.
Uh-huh.
And it's exciting and it's challenging to be a fundraiser in the Middle East. It's a
Sure.
totally different thing when we talk about fundraising in the Middle East and the States.
Yes. Yes. Well, let's get into that because when we first talked in September of 24, just in a Zoom, not related, just a prep for this conversation, you mentioned just the unique challenges and the cultural mindsets and characteristics of fundraising in the broad Middle East region. Are there any things in particular that come to mind about differences, maybe, you know, with those mindsets characteristics in the Middle East? Anything particular with like even within the Middle East, like is there a different mindset generally among Lebanese people than among Saudi people or so forth?
Actually, yes. Fundraising in the Middle East is totally a different ballgame. The
Yeah.
one thing that's common between the different countries within the Middle East is understanding the culture and trying to build a trustworthy, deep relationship with the donor.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the one common thing that we work and it's unique in the Middle East. The differences is understanding the different mindsets within each country
Mhm.
and how they operate and what the country or what the people are going through at that time. For example, in Lebanon, it's a different situation than in Jordan. Jordan is more stable. Lebanon, it's a turbulent environment. When it comes to the Gulf region, it's a higher philanthropic capacity, but in a different fundraising is different than in Jordan and Lebanon or in any other country. So yes, there's differences, but the main thing that specializes or that it's unique in the Middle East is understanding the culture and understanding the people and trying to build a relationship with these people. A donor needs to understand and to trust the fundraiser and to trust the initiative that the fundraiser is talking about and to believe in the mission and the vision of the institution or any other organization that you are fundraising for. So this
Sure.
is very important. When it comes to the middle to this region, people like the personal touch. People would care about the one-to-one conversation. They would care about the personal initiative that you will take towards building this relationship into a deeper level.
Yeah.
For example, attending one of the donors' son's wedding is something very personal,
Mm.
but I have to do it as a fundraiser because it creates or it deepens the relationship between me and the donor. So creating a well-trusted relationship is very important. In addition, religion plays a major role, a major part in our fundraising efforts. There is something called zakat and sadaqah in Muslims' religion, where it prioritizes the giving towards high needs such as food security, healthcare, a disaster relief. So this creates a challenge for the fundraiser in the Middle East to fundraise for initiatives that are not in high in need currently.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's challenging, but as a fundraiser, you have to believe in what you're fundraising for, and you will always find a donor or a prospect that will support your initiative that you are um, uh, fundraising for.
Mm. Yeah, very interesting. And I imagine, certainly language is important too. So,
For
we're
sure.
conversing in English. Are most of your interactions with donors and prospects conducted in Arabic or English or
Actually, it goes both ways.
okay.
They have to feel that you know them, you know their language, you know the people there. They have to feel, I've had donors asking me about people within our community if I know them.
Oh,
So they have to feel the touch of, yes, we are part of you. I am part of this community. I'm part of this culture and region. So they need the touch of personal touch of I understand you and I understand your background and I know what's yes and no to you. So I respect these boundaries and I move forward with my fundraising effort with you.
Yeah,
So this challenge, it's not an easy thing to deal with, but I believe that if a fundraiser can lead on this, they can excel in the region.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, those cultural sensitivities are really important. Um,
Actually, I think it's important also in other regions of the world, but maybe because when it comes to the Arab region, it's more of personalized and more deep
mm,
than any other part of the world.
it could be. Yeah. I know when you and I were first talking in the fall of 24, I didn't, I want to be respectful of your culture and faith and so forth and who you are. And I thought, well, Sharifa, should I wear a suit and a tie? I'm happy to do
Yeah.
that. I wanted to ask rather than just assume, just to make you comfortable. So, um, yeah, I'm glad you mentioned those points about really the personal touch. Do you feel there's maybe a heightened need for you as a female fundraiser, to be aware of these sensitivities and be and connect with people?
Um, Actually, being a female fundraiser doesn't affect a lot. It's a unique strength for me
Uh-huh.
because honestly, being a female by itself and being an Arab woman who was as a fundraiser um, helps me a lot with building relationships and connecting with people and fostering the collaboration with these people. But for sure, I have to understand. I have to know the people. I have to research more about the people. In Jordan, it's a different culture than Lebanon. They're too close to each other, but there's a different culture playing around.
Yeah.
So for sure, I have to understand the Jordanian culture. For sure, I have to understand the people around me and how they think and how they act and what's their traditions for me to respect this and plan accordingly. So yes, for sure.
Yeah. Great. Thank you. Um, so you mentioned, this emerging, growing fundraising environment in the Middle East and in your travels from Lebanon, Jordan, and Saudi Arabia and the Gulf as well. What excites you, Sharifa, about the future of fundraising? Whether maybe, specifically in Jordan or in Saudi Arabia, or maybe throughout this very diverse region of the world.
Actually, it's an interesting question. When we talk about fundraising, and I'm sure you're familiar with this, Tim, when it comes to fundraising, if the institution that you work at and you're fundraising for this institution or an organization, it's not operating properly,
Mhm.
then fundraising effort will go down
Yeah.
and will operate in the maximum capacity that it can be, right? So the same goes to the country.
Hmm.
So the fundraising efforts really heavily relies on the country that you are based in. For example, in Jordan, it's stable, but it's stable yet resource constrained country where its fundraising effort is highly focusing on community needs and it relies on international aid. When it comes to Lebanon, it's a turbulent environment where it's unstable and fundraising priorities goes or designated towards high needy stuff.
Yeah.
So basically, it really depends on the country and on the capacity of the community that you live in.
Yeah.
When it comes to Lebanon, we don't fundraise for fundraisers usually go for reactive fundraising. So what's needed currently, we go for that. When it
Okay.
comes to the Gulf region, it's different. It's more of large-scale philanthropic actions, but at the same time, it goes mainly through monarchy and it goes into large institutions with very specific deliverables.
Mm.
Okay. and high capacity philanthropic actions. So it's different within each country, and it depends on the economy of the country, on the stability of this country, and on the way we redirect our fundraising priority. But at the end, or in a nutshell, or at the umbrella of the fundraising, when whatever you are fundraising for, you have to find the right people that will believe in this initiative throughout the challenges that you face with time.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
this is where successful fundraising come. Keeping a donation or keeping a gift ongoing throughout the challenges that a fundraiser or the institution or the organization or the country goes through, this is what a successful fundraising is.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That is fascinating. I mean, that's a added complexity that you're right, makes it very different from fundraising in the United States or Canada, for example.
Because there's a lot going on in our region. So every day you wake up with something new. So you have to adapt and what you're going through with what you're trying to work on. So it's
Yeah.
very challenging, but it's exciting, and that's where we go back to understanding the people, the culture, the country, the organization. And this is where you go back to that point where you have to understand where you are, and you have to understand with who you are dealing with, and you have to understand with who you are fundraising from. So all these aspects play a major role in the fundraising field within the region.
Yeah, certainly. As you started in fundraising, Sharifa, were you connected or involved with fundraising associations that you could go to for learning and resources, or was a lot of it just through working at UAB and then
That's a nice question. Yes, for sure. It's
hmm
part of career growth and the career journey that we go through. For
yeah,
sure. One of the main things that you learn is from your experience. Meeting donors and prospects, every donor and every prospect that you meet is a different case.
yes, yeah,
And you have to analyze and understand the prospect or the donor that you're sitting with, and you have to research about
hmm
this prospect and donor. So you can learn different things and new things from different universities and different conferences that you attend and
sure.
different workshops. I've once attended one of the conferences in the States.
Mm,
You can learn different new things and new ideas of stewardship, new ideas of reporting, new ideas of prospect researching. But when it comes to fundraising, every case that you meet is a new case for you to learn from.
totally.
And one of the main things that I learned is to listen to the prospect or the donor and to understand the prospect and the donor before any action taken by a fundraiser.
Mm, yeah, that's great.
So this is one of the main things that I was taught by one of my mentors, which I'm always grateful for, Mr. Rami Abu Jum'a, who is
Mm,
currently in Columbia University. So listen before you take any action as a fundraiser, and stewardship comes before soliciting. That's the two
yeah,
main things that I really follow as a fundraiser. But for sure, you learn a lot. Every day is a new day to learn more and understand people more and meet new people, because you learn a lot from people as a fundraiser, and you tend to expand your horizon and your knowledge from the people that you meet with, because you tend to meet people, high net worth people with
sure.
different backgrounds, different experiences, which is interesting, and it teaches you a lot as a fundraiser. So yeah, being a fundraiser is different than leading any other unit within the advancement or development office. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah, thank you for those answers. That's really informative and great for our audience around the world to know about.
Yeah.
Um, Outside of your fundraising work, Sharifa, you recently co-founded another company, and I'd love to have you talk a little bit about that. It's an event management, logistics, and supply company. So, what can you tell us about your company and why you launched it and what it does, please?
Okay. This is an interesting story.
Hmm.
Throughout my years working for nonprofits, I've built the philanthropic mindset and the nonprofit mindset in my head. So whenever I want to speak, I speak nonprofit. I speak about giving. I speak about the importance of supporting the community and supporting the initiatives that we're talking about and believing in the mission and vision of the institution that we want to work with. So building this philanthropic mindset and the nonprofit mindset that I talk about in my social life and in my career life made me realize that there is a part of this world that I'm missing. How did I find out this? Is during my years at King's Academy, I was part of the team in supporting and managing an entrepreneurship program at King's Academy.
Oh, okay.
And during during the semester, we had different consultants coming and visiting campus to speak to our students about their experiences and about how they started and how they built their own business and how they established their own company. And all these successful entrepreneurs around the region are visiting campus and talking to our students. So what I realized that there is a gap that I am missing, which is the business mindset.
Sure.
So that triggered in me that I have to dig deeper into this business mindset and business world to learn more and understand more.
Hmm.
So combining both, it's really challenging because I wear two hats. The first hat is nonprofit, talking about giving and philanthropy in general, and how the importance of philanthropy in our region. And the other hat is event management, which I want to think more of financial and what I need to do and how I need to work on the event. So it's two different hats, which is really challenging because it's really hard to try to talk in a different way and a different within the different environments that you're speaking with because you're speaking with different
Sure.
people. So this is where it came the idea of me co-founding one of an events management company with my partner, which I'm lucky to have. He knows more about the details of the events management,
Okay.
and yeah, and I'm more of managing the event because I had several experiences in events management previously through my work at a different institution.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is where it came the idea, and I'm learning from this, and it's exciting and it's challenging at the same time, but it's something on the
Sure.
side that I'm working on, and it's nice to learn more about the business world and how businessmen think and how the business world operates, honestly.
I bet. Yes. I,
It's a
I,
different world, believe me.
yes. Very different. Are you thinking that the events would be in the nonprofit world or any type of client?
No, it's not for nonprofit world, no. It's
Yeah.
specifically for conferences and more
Okay.
of governmental events. We're
Oh,
going into conferences and more of governmental events, and we're not targeting nonprofits, honestly.
yeah.
Actually, it's an interesting idea to think about it, targeting nonprofits.
Yeah. Well, that
Yeah.
sounds interesting that, to have a different project you can put your energy and learning into that is completely outside of the nonprofit. So conferences, government functions, you'd be connecting with many different people in those
It's
settings.
about building connections.
Yeah.
The common thing between being a fundraiser or working within the nonprofit field and the events management is building the connections, the right connections. So
Yeah.
this is the common thing that I feel it's connected, but it's a totally different world. You're talking about when I meet a donor, I meet a prospect, I talk about giving, I talk about philanthropy, I talk about the importance of supporting a nonprofit vision and mission for the community and supporting the community itself and creating impact. When I'm talking about events, I'm talking about profit, I'm talking about financials, I'm talking about cost cutting, I'm talking about, budgeting. So it's a different world, but I learn a lot from it.
Yeah.
We had an event during the summer, a conference that we had to manage in Jordan. It was successful,
Oh,
thanks
good.
God, but it's not easy. It wasn't an easy thing because I'm used to speak the nonprofit language. So
Sure.
it wasn't easy to me to try to speak the business language, So it was kind of challenging for me.
Yeah. Well, I applaud you for going off on this new adventure that you have to learn and literally speak a different skill set and language and vocabulary about this is about building revenue and connections and launching something successful and putting in a lot of hours to do that in addition to being a fundraiser. That's a heavy undertaking.
Let's see how it goes.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, Sharifa, we are just at the 30-minute mark here.
Oh, it went so fast.
Yes. Um, I just have enjoyed this conversation so much. Is there anything you'd
Thank
like to
you.
share in the last few minutes?
Thank you so much, Tim. It's really a pleasure to be part of your podcast as a guest. And I'm excited to show the other part of the fundraising in this region. As you mentioned previously, that I'm your first guest from the Middle East region. Yeah, your podcast is very interesting.
Thank you.
I'm a big fan of your podcast.
Thank you.
So thank you so much, and looking forward to have you in our region soon as a guest.
I would love that. Yes, before I started recording, I mentioned to Sharifa that in 2030 it will be my 25th wedding anniversary, and my wife and I have never been to the Middle East or even the Balkan part of Europe, Mediterranean. So you've given me a lot to think about, and let's stay in touch
For
to
sure,
to see Jordan on the ground and connect in person.
for sure, for sure. It's my pleasure. And
Thank
of
you.
course, Lebanon.
And Lebanon as well. Yes,
Yeah, for sure.
definitely. Well, yeah, we'll stay in touch. I wish you all the best, Sharifa, and thank you for your time today. It's almost 8 p.m. or 20
Yes,
p.m. in Jordan.
yes.
So I appreciate you making time today.
Thank you
And
so much, Tim.
yeah, and for our audience, you can find Sharifa's conversation on YouTube and LinkedIn, as well as my new website, which is sponsored by Luis Diaz of the Donor Participation Project. It's going live in a few weeks, and also the audio will be on Spotify. And thank you all for supporting people in fundraising. We're now entering our 4th season and appreciate everyone's support. Have a good evening, Sharifa, and thank you again.
Likewise. Thank you so much. Thank you.